I thought that a plant based lifestyle, changing my diet, was gonna make me have so much more energy right away. I was wrong. My expectation was that as I changed my diet and I wanted to do the whole cold turkey thing, and I cleaned out a bunch of stuff. And the problem was that I didn't already have some baseline things that I wanted to make. And in my head, I didn't like have, okay, this is what I'm going to eat for breakfast. This is what I'm going to eat for lunch. This is what I'm going to have for dinner. It didn't take me long to find out that I better get some of that stuff in place before I could consider myself successful. So then real life kind of gets in the way. So I teach culinary arts, and I'm making sure that they get some plant based knowledge so that when I come to the store or to the restaurant and I ask them to recommend something for a plant based lifestyle, they're not just going to give me some salad or some potato that they threw together without any thought. I want this generation of students to really think about, just like they thought about the taste and the flavor for all of the other menu items. I want my students to go in there having an understanding and caring about what somebody on alternative diets would like to have. And that's not just plant based, even if they're gluten free and if they're, all the different things, making sure that they thought about this. Don't just throw something together for somebody. My life didn't just change because my intentions did. I had to be really intentional about the things that I was doing. Just like you, I work every day. For me, it's during the week, Monday through Friday. So each day, I'm teaching all day, tasting food as a part of my job, um, doing fundraisers and events. And, we have these real life obligations. You got things to do. Um, I was mostly eating better on the weekends and in the evenings. So during the day, sometimes I would go all day and not eat anything, especially if it's a day that I didn't cook or I wasn't teaching them to cook something. And I know a lot of people have that issue. You didn't plan anything, or you forgot your lunch or whatever, you're going to grab something, or you're just too busy to get anything. Um, it's busy. And then you get into the place where you bring several things or you have several things at work and you're snacking all day. So you're eating chips here and nuts there. And yeah, well, I guess I could say I'm plant based, eating chips and nuts, but overall, what do you really want to get out of the changes that you make? I don't want to just be, you know, getting by. I want it to be really intentional, and I want it to get and feel all of the effects that people talk about, that optimum health. And, you know, I want to have that energy. I want to feel like I don't have to sleep 8 hours in order to be, you know, vibrant the next day and alert all day and not exhausted before the end of my day. Um, but I felt tired, and I wouldn't say starting to eat plant based made me feel worse, but I wasn't seeing really the thing that I was after. So I had to look at all of the details of my life. And this is started so many years ago with my children and the busyness of life with kids. I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, making all of their breakfast and lunch from scratch, and sending their lunch with them, and having to make something kind of different for me. And it was a lot. As they got older, I put that responsibility on them, and then I was able to focus a little more on myself. I understand when people are saying that they're physically drained. I mean, We have to really look at our day to day and what we're doing and how we're showing up for ourselves and finding ways to balance just getting some darn rest. I mean, we can't work all the time. I tell you, sometimes you just gotta sleep in on your off day. And sometimes you have to tell these kids and teach them how to make something for themselves and make sure that that is something that they understand, that they don't bother you. And then sometimes they need to cook for you when they're big enough. I think that I was putting the majority of the responsibility of how I felt on food when it was more to it than that. And it's the stress level, it's the pace of your life, it's the sleep, it's the constant output without us putting the right input, and the emotional load of things. Food will support your energy, but it doesn't override your life and make the wrongs right. And I don't even like to say that things are wrong or right, but you have to figure out little by little, because it's never going to be all at once, what it is that you want to gain, how it is you need to go about it, and you really have to make a shift. I really, I really wanted everything to make my plan, to just execute my plan and do it the way that I outline, because I'm that type of personality. I want to outline it all and I just want to follow it because that's the best way for me to be successful in something that I'm doing, whether it's, running, whether it's at school, whether it's, whatever. I want to outline my month and I put everything down like an appointment and I want to execute it. But it doesn't always pan out that way, as we all know. But I still did a better job creating the plan for myself. I've learned that how I start out my day and when I take in my first meal has been one of the biggest shifts that I noticed that has helped me the most, because I'm strongest in the morning and at night. So the middle of my day is where I kind of dip. But in the morning, I'm excited, I'm rested, I want to get a lot done. And then I have to stop, go to work, and I still have that momentum for the things that I need to do at work. But by the time all the students leave, it's like, ugh, I'm drained and I need to reset. Then I get home and I'm like, okay, that part of the day is over. And now I feel like once I get settled, I get this new burst of energy when I really should be getting ready for bed and getting ready for my next day. So I've learned to put some things on my list of things as options for me to do. That's not so heavy mentally or physically, that I can still feel like I'm getting something done. So around the food, I've learned that it's better for me to hold off on breakfast until 10 o'clock. So I think in the busyness of my day and looking at the comparisons between a work day versus an off day, you get up at different time, your body feels different. If you're in a habit of eating and then on the weekend or when you're off you're not eating, I notice those little things in my digestive system that, I like feeling this way or I don't like feeling that way. One of the things that I don't like feeling is when I eat late at night or I eat heavy, I wake up the next day with the weirdest, like, sinking, hungry feeling in my stomach, and I just don't like it. Um, so I want to make sure my food is digested before I go to bed. Um, so I'm not going to eat later than 7 o'clock if I'm going to snack on something, but I eat my dinner when I get off work. So by the time I get home, by 5 o'clock, I want to have the major part of whatever heavier thing for dinner that I'm going to have. I'm just going to have it. Um, and I've learned to make sure I simplify that and or prep ahead or something. So I'm not trying to make a whole dinner from scratch when I get home. And if I'm gonna eat late, I'm gonna eat fruit or a smoothie or something of that nature that processes at a decent time. And then I just tell myself, you're gonna fast for the rest of the night until, because you don't like that feeling in your stomach in the morning. Um, so in the morning, I've decided that it's better for my body overall that I wait to eat breakfast. And breakfast for me is typically a juice. So I've started juicing like 10 or 15 juices ahead of time. And I'll freeze those juices because I'm just not going to juice every day because I don't have time for that. And so um, I know some people it's going to bother because we know that once you juice, it's going to degrade some of the minerals and nutrients and all. I get it. And I don't disagree, and I can't disagree because that's science. However, I would rather have a portion of my nutrients than have none of them by not juicing. And it helps me stay into the habit. So I do fresh juices and I enjoy them. I don't like making them. Of course, the day that I make my juice is the day I have the fresh juice. But I like to freeze it right away so that those nutrients don't get degraded over time and it's not just sitting in the refrigerator all week. So that's the way I do it, and it makes it so much easier. So if I forget to take it out the day before, it doesn't matter. I grab it on the way out the door frozen. By the time 10 o'clock comes, it's on my desk and it's ready for me by the time 10 o'clock comes. I've learned that I have to hide it because my students think that they're supposed to taste everything that I have. And I'm like, oh my goodness, if 20 of you taste my juice, I'm not going to have any juice left. So um, sometimes I have to put it behind something on my desk. I think they're always looking. Another thing that I found, and I'm sure most people know, and my best example is like Thanksgiving. If you celebrate Thanksgiving or you get together for any type of buffet or dinner, you know that sluggish feeling that you get. You want to just go to sleep because your body's kind of overloaded with so many things. I don't like that either. And that can happen to me with one food item. So we have French Fry Friday at school. And every time I make a batch and season it, I taste the fries. Of course, I have more than one fry. And before you know it, I've bought a fry and I done ate a fry. And now by the end of the day, I feel a hot mess because I've eaten this thing. Now, mind you, if we're cooking, I'm going to taste whatever that is. And sometimes the secretary might have some kind of dessert or whatever. Those things don't even match and they don't go together. Or whatever I had from home, I'm eating with the thing, or you know what I mean, the sluggishness. So I'm learning and getting more educated about food combinations, what goes together well, what doesn't go together well, why it doesn't go together, and what is causing in my body. And so I would encourage you to really learn about um, as much as you can, learn as much as you can about why things are. And if you're not really into the scientific part of it, just test it out and you'll see. And I'm sure you have that, I'm sure you've had the experience before. So it doesn't take but a little bit of education If you want to go online and find a food combination chart, there's one that I really like. It has the arrows on it, and it's like red, green, and yellow arrows. And I put that on my refrigerator as I was learning about this for the first time. And it was really helpful, the difference between, the acid fruits and the sweet fruits, how it does or doesn't go with this or that. And learning that avocado goes with everything, melons are best eaten alone. And so many people think that they can't eat certain fruits because it upsets their stomach. Well, they're right, but it's the combination of the food. So if you would eat that food separately, especially if you enjoy it, give it a try. If you eat a food separate from some other foods, then you'll recognize and see that you may not have that reaction in the future. And then on top of it, too, we can also eat lighter meals. The lighter meals just give you a different kind of energy. Some cultures are eating, at 80%. We as Americans tend to eat until we full, we've cleaned our plate, and then we get seconds just because it tastes good. Um, I'm guilty of that. I'm a foodie. I love food, but at this point in my life, I'm more interested in what the food is doing for me and not my taste buds digging my grave. Um, Eating with more intention and not necessarily restriction. I'm not saying you need to restrict your diet. I'm just saying that if you want to feel better, you need to be intentional about making some changes. And if you don't pay attention to what's going on with your body, or you don't even check into how you feel or make some adjustments to see, then there's no doctor that's going to be able to help you to make those adjustments. They're just going to give you all the things to help with the symptoms that you're having, and you're not going to get to the meat of what the problem is. And quite a few of these things we can fix ourselves. So, moving on. Once I started postponing my breakfast and not eating so late at night and being mindful about my snacking and tasting, and even in class when I'm tasting the kids' food, I'm really mindful about what my objective is. Like, they all want you to eat a plate of their food when I really just need to taste for a certain thing on each of their plates. And there's typically 6 or 8 groups unless they're working individually. I don't taste small things like their eggs, for example. So I have 60 students all day that are doing eggs. I'm not going to taste 60 eggs. I did that the first time. I'll never do that again. Which I'm really just looking for the technique. I'm really not looking to see how it tastes, but that they seasoned it, so making some adjustments in my own way of doing things has really been helpful. And so now I don't get that heaviness and that burden in my stomach. And being mindful of those combinations, my stomach just feels so much better. Like, even in my clothes, things feel better because I'm giving my body an opportunity to get rid of the things that I've eaten. And there's not a lot of delay in my digestion because I'm not, one, constantly eating, two, mixing so many things together. And so I came from hardly eating, like just eating one meal a day, to eating all the time, to making these changes. I think eating better has to be defined by the individual. You know how you eat, you know what you want to improve, and you may be eating better, but you're still tired. I would say give yourself some grace. Do one thing at a time, add something here and there. Maybe you could, like I always say, you could change your breakfast only for a week or two, then change your lunch only for a week or two, and then change your dinner. Or you just start late breakfast, do early dinner, or get rid of your snacking. Really decide in between meals, are you going to have an in between meal between breakfast and lunch? For me, I'll have a juice at 10, and then at lunch, I'll have lunch or something at 12 o'clock. Um, and it may be like my breakfast. So the juice is kind of like breaking the fast, and then the real breakfast might be at lunchtime, which is normally 12 o'clock for most people. I may or may not have a snack, maybe 3 o'clock, maybe not, depending on what I have to do. And then at 5 o'clock, I'm eating dinner. So sometimes I have a juice and sometimes I have dinner. Sometimes I don't have a juice and then I have breakfast at 10, and I might not eat again until a snack at 3, and then maybe 5 o'clock dinner. And if I mess around and wait too late for dinner and it's 8 o'clock, we just not having dinner that day, because I'm not going to have that feeling in my stomach. So I think we need to just be really mindful that we're living full lives, and we're learning as we go. And it's a lot. It can be a lot. And you don't have to get it all right today. And you don't have to do everything that somebody else is doing. I pick up bits and pieces of things along the way from all different kinds of people. We bounce things off of each other at work, and I give them my ideas, they take them. They give me their ideas, I take them, or I leave them, or they leave them, and that's okay. But you got to test and see what works for you. I'm hoping that in this new year that you can go ahead and find one something that you get strong in or stronger in, and you can improve your energy and improve your life by changing the things that you're eating or how you're eating them throughout the day. So start where you are, just make one change and stick with it. You'll get there one step at a time. Until next time, be choosy.